the time has arrived that I walk this way of love through the walls of your fears and weary heart. Take my hand and walk with me. I will teach you to be free, 'cause that's what I call you to be.
I have loved you and more, hoping you would hear my call, trusting me each day like never before. Oh, the pain that I feel when you forget what's true and real, that you're mine and I am yours.
I'll wear it all over again, crown of thorns and purple cloak. Carry the heavy cross once more like before. I give you my life, I'll give it once again, Father, that they may be one.
Take their hand and walk
Come touch my life again, break the crystal frame that makes your voice an echo. Come that my eyes may see you are real in me, and today outshines your memory. Come, love a life that's drawn to you, and through it all, time after time can hear you say, stay with me, stay here with me. Let my everlasting grace drench your life, heal your wounds, love your mind, touch your soul, renew your strength, embrace your heart, give you words, pray again. Come gentle as the night, truthful as the light, you banish all my shadows. Come, if my heart could feel touching of your tears that melt away my hardness. Come, love a life that's drawn to you, and through it all, time after time can hear you say, stay with me, stay here with me. Let my everlasting grace drench your life, heal your wounds, love your mind, touch your soul, renew your strength, embrace your heart, give you words to pray again. Drench your life, heal your wounds, love your mind, touch your soul, renew your strength, embrace your heart, give you words, pray drench your life, heal your wounds, love your mind, touch your soul, renew your strength, embrace your heart, give you words, pray again. Drench your life, heal your wounds, love your mind, touch your soul, renew your strength, embrace your heart, give you words, pray again. Drench your life, heal your wounds, love your mind, touch your soul, renew your strength, embrace your heart, give you words, pray again.
Good morning. How is each and every one of you? I'm hoping you are well and keeping safe. This is Charisma from the community of Cebu. Today, let us continue to accompany Jesus by entering into Jesus' feelings and attitudes as he walked the path of love. Today is the Tuesday of Holy Week, a Holy Tuesday different from the other Holy Tuesdays we have had. For one, we are in the year 2020, which we will never forget in our history, where we who are not frontliners are staying at home, trying to cooperate with the government in the effort and hope to contain and eradicate this virulent coronavirus, which has not only disturbed lives, but has already claimed many. I'm not sure how you're living this moment. Myself, I'm trying to anchor in faith in the midst of anxiety and pain in front of this pandemic. Perhaps before we start this time of prayer, I would like to invite us all to put ourselves in the presence of God and to make an act of faith that will help us recognize that God is with you today, that God is at your side, willing to listen to what you carry inside, and God wanting to reassure us that He is in our boat. God will never leave you because you matter to God. We will pray today with the Gospel of John, John 13 verses 21 to 33 and verses 36 to 38. I have to say that I found comfort in this Gospel, especially the beginning part, where it says, Jesus was deeply disturbed. Comfort in the sense that Jesus can understand how we feel towards this pandemic, because He had also experienced what it felt to be disturbed in spirit. And I believe this reading could teach us how to live this moment as well. In other Bible translations, the words described to Jesus' feeling are deeply troubled, distressed in spirit, or in deep sorrow. Perhaps we have read this part of the Gospel a lot of times. Some of you may have gotten a good reflection about this, and even a life-changing experience. However, I invite us all to make it real in our life now, to let the Word enter into our reality of today. The reading starts with this. Jesus was deeply troubled and declared openly, I am telling you the truth. One of you is going to betray me. One of His disciples is going to betray Him. Jesus wasn't distressed that the people are plotting for His life. He was distressed because one of His disciples is going to betray Him. I could imagine that this was very hard for Jesus. One of His disciples, the one whom He calls friend, the one whom He loves, the one whom He shares food at table with, the one whom He shares mission with, is going to betray Him. How painful was that for Jesus? You would expect a close friend to be there for you, not only in good times, but most especially in the rough moments of your life. You wouldn't expect a close friend to be the first one to let go of you when you need him or her the most. I, for one, would like my close friend to stand by me until the storm passes. Yet Judas wasn't like that to his friend, Jesus. He was able to betray Jesus. Betrayal in the Gospel of John, as my professor would say, is not an act of greed on the part of Judas Iscariot. Betrayal is not in handing Jesus over to direct authorities. But betrayal in the Gospel of John is not believing in Jesus. Betrayal is a growing disbelief in one's heart towards Jesus. Judas's faith in Jesus was decreasing. We could ask, why would his faith in Jesus be diminishing? When we think of Judas, we think of him being with Jesus and the disciples for 3 years, and perhaps praying together, listening to Jesus, being with Jesus when he was feeding the multitudes, and planning the mission together. What could have happened along the way? Perhaps, even when he was physically present with the disciples, his heart was already distracted. He was little by little moving away from the group, detaching from them. Maybe Judas was expecting a different Jesus. It could have been that he was expecting a Messiah who could be triumphant and victorious, one who will end the sufferings of the people and even defeat the injustices caused by the Roman Empire once and for all, like magic in a snap of a finger. It's possible that he had a different worldview on how Jesus would save them, and he wanted to impose it. And when it was not happening, Judas started to move away from Jesus. This is what lack of faith in Jesus did to Judas's life as a disciple. Little by little detaching from Jesus, little by little unplugging to what is life for him, shutting off what is essential for him, and little by little getting comfortable to the fleeting promises and lies of the chief priest, because that fed his frustrations, which eventually led him to sell Jesus for a ridiculously small amount. In desperately wanting to take control, Judas settled for what is less. How about us? How is our faith in Jesus, especially this time? Perhaps there can be moments in our life that we can be like Judas, wanting solutions to a certain situation that matter to us in a quick and easy way, if possible with no sweat and complications. But when they are not given to us, what happened? We are sad, we experience pain, we sulk, nagtatampo kaagad, or mangluod dayon ta sa Ginoo. We question God's love for us. We don't take it well. We little by little distance ourselves from God, choosing to isolate ourselves from God instead of praying, until we can be totally detached from God. Perhaps Judas felt desperate and hopeless seeing the situation, knowing that the Jesus he imagined is not taking place. He chose to let hopelessness and desperation take him, and that eventually lessened his faith in Jesus. When one is hopeless and desperate, one couldn't see well. That person's thoughts are clouded with fear, worries, frustrations, and this can be an expression of night. Judas didn't believe anymore that Jesus could do something or is doing something. That made him exchange Jesus for how many pieces of silver coins. He left the group, and it was night. However, I was very amazed of how Jesus responded before the betrayal of Judas. In verse 26, we could see the response of Jesus. I shall dip a piece of bread in the dish, and he to whom I give it is the one. It seems here that Jesus is pointing finger directly at Judas. However, the action of dipping the bread and giving it to Judas is a reversal love can do. Jesus, by this action, was trying to persuade Judas to put his faith back in him, even when things are not turning out to what he expected. Jesus was trying to convince Judas to choose something for life and not for death, to choose unity and not division. The choices that Judas and Jesus took are quite different. Judas chose to move away from Jesus, who is the light, to darkness. When we choose to nurture hopelessness, frustrations, doubts, eventually it will make us see that everything is pointless, impossible. It will lead us to night, making us to forget that we are children of the light. Jesus chose to nurture something that is life-giving, not only for him, but also for his disciples. Choice. Choice is something integral for us humans. My high school friend recently called and related to me how he was quite upset in the fight he had with his mother. He hasn't talked to his mom yet because he was still angry about it, and he added, "I am left with no choice." While listening to him, I was asking myself, is he really left with no choice? Doesn't saying "I have no choice" is him already making a choice on how he will face the situation? What about us? When are the moments or what certain situation in life or in our relationships we simply resigned and say, "I don't have a choice"? And is this really true that we are left with no choice to make? We could probably relate to my friend's side of the story. At times, when we are to decide between two things and ended up choosing the weaker side and saying "I have no choice" is actually not true, because we do have a freedom to choose. Thus, by saying that phrase, "I have no choice," you already made your choice. We are always making a choice in every action that we do. But the question would be, where do our choices lead us to? We can choose either to let pessimism, frustration take hold of us, or choose to love and make this moment count. We are in each of our own houses, staying at home, being with our family members the whole day. How do you take advantage of this time? Perhaps to some in the beginning it was okay staying at home, but as time passes by, there arise challenges in relationship, which some of us would prefer to avoid and would like to go back to school or work. What kind of choices do we take? Is it choosing to stay in the light or choosing to stay in what is night? Is it one that builds relationship, that encourages the other, that gathers the family into one? Or are we choosing indifference, bringing the person down because of our sarcasm or because of our silence? Is it one that fuels life in us and the other, or one that fuels death? Make choices that count. Go beyond our personal needs and whining. Reach out in love as Jesus did to Judas. Do not walk away from the light who is Jesus. In facing to what is seemingly a failure, in his disciples' misunderstanding, betrayal, and denial, Jesus chose to gather the dispersed disciples as one. Jesus chose to unify them, to strengthen them. He calls them "my children." A very endearing words. More than looking at himself at how much pained he was by the betrayal, he goes out of himself and saw the needs of the disciples as children, like children who are fragile and weak, probably frightened, perhaps weakening as how things are turning out, as the following of Jesus is indeed radical. Jesus attended to their needs, comforted them, and gathered them as one, giving them strength to pass through this path of his passion, death, and resurrection. In front of this pandemic we are facing, we cannot but feel scattered and dispersed in our thoughts and emotions. Perhaps as we are trying to anchor in faith, there also exists fear in us. Will there be a cure? When will this end? We cannot but worry about work, our daily sustenance, our future, and even for the health and safety of our loved ones. Some of us probably are in pain because there are people we know that have acquired this virus, and worse, their lives have been taken away. Maybe the feelings of uncertainty because things are out of our control and it weakens us. As this can cause night in us, let us also hear once again the words of Jesus, desiring to gather us, gathering our scattered faith life into one. My children, don't allow the work of the enemy to prosper. Don't give in to these nights. Look at me on the cross. Death don't have the final word. The choice to love does. Love can make us choose what is essential and making it count. Like that Italian old priest who gave his ventilator to a younger person infected by the coronavirus. In the midst of the many people dying, experiencing hopelessness, experiencing night in their life, there are also so many people choosing to give life, choosing to go beyond personal needs, choosing solidarity instead of isolation, choosing to reach out instead of coldness or indifference, choosing oneness. We can choose to live things differently, even though we are in our own houses. We can choose to be one in the sufferings and hopes of our brothers and sisters in the different parts of the world. We can choose to love beyond. We can choose what is essential and life-giving. As the saying goes, we are in this together. Together we heal. Together we conquer this pandemic. Together we conquer death. Life for each one of us consists, yes, in staying at home and keeping well, but life with a capital letter, life to us as disciples, life to us as people who have faith in God, is also staying in God. Life to us is in listening to the voice of God and being with Him, as what Deuteronomy 30 verses 19 to 20 reminds us. Hold fast to God. Do not let go of God even when things get messy and uncertain. I call heaven and earth to witness the choice you will make today. I set before you life and death, blessing and curse. Choose life then. May our Mother Mary help us to choose life. May she teach us how to anchor in God, that we may choose what brings life for us and for many. Together with our Mother, let us come closer to the heart of Jesus, the heart that beats love for us, the heart that beats for you, the heart that beats for oneness. Lord, touch my life again today with your word and with your ways.